Now my dark purpose will be fulfilled, and the best of the demon leaks will be mine. In the dark of the night I was practicing and learning, but the codex I had was as bad as can be. I'd scare units out of their wits, but only demons fail leaderships. But in the Snow Codex, the nightmare is me.
Oh boy, it's time for another leak day. And I hope you guys are as excited as I am because today is none other than the Shadow Lord Bellacor's rules reveal. And the only thing more exciting than that is the fact that I have some friends to come along for today's journey, including the rest of the leak triumvirate. I am, of course, talking about our dear friends Korkin and Trout, who will be joining me to go in depth in a deep dive into the Dark Lord's details. I'll tell you when it's recording. Oh, see, it did.
It
We're
did.
recording now.
All right.
Shocking.
This is
Oh,
pretty
wait.
exciting.
Yeah, this is very exciting. For a couple of reasons. One reason is we're confirming stuff that a lot of people know already. So that's nice. The other reason though is that we're going to look at psychic powers and some other cool stuff.
Confirming
talk
info
about-
and new info.
Yeah. Everyone needs a little validation in their lives, right? World's a hard place. So stuff that most people already know. Bellacore, these are his stats.
Yep.
I'm not going to
These
talk
are
you
his
through all of them. Pause the
This-
video.
Basically,
read
the
it,
stats are
absorb it.
almost identical to the current Bellacore stats, which is a good thing, frankly, except for him having 20 wounds. Now, that's not a strict upgrade because, as people have been very happy to point out, 20 wounds does mean that you cannot be obscured anymore.
Yes.
That
that's
said,
true.
it's still good. He's
And-
still very good.
Yeah, and we're gonna. I have a comment on that later when we
Mhm.
get towards the end. But yeah, I think people got knee-jerk reaction exactly like you said. Oh crap, I can't hide him.
Yeah.
But guys, dude, he's so shockingly durable.
The main thing is that what you could kind of tell when Bellacore was initially released is that unlike a lot of other units in the Demons Codex, he was designed as a 9th edition datasheet. And that really shines through here by having basically this exact same profiles as he did previously, because it really was a 9th edition profile. They're just changing it slightly to fit in more with how the other major demons in the codex work.
And kind of the way I think about it too is he's going from being the one really good thing in a mostly bad codex to being like a really good thing in a really good codex.
Agreed.
And you don't really need to hide Bellacore because he's going to be getting in their face like right away anyways. You know, maybe not turn one, but I mean, he's getting up the board pretty quick still. And yeah, he's gonna kill stuff. So
Is definitely gonna kill stuff. So something just extra to call out, which people who've been following along with information would already be aware of, but it's good to just highlight. He has all the demon keywords, right? So Tzeentch, Korn, Slaanesh, Nurgle. So he's coming all these different flavors, which paired with Warp Locus means that when you want to deep strike your Bloodletters or your Plague Bearers or your Demonettes, they can come down in that advantage position around him, as opposed to you needing to use one of the other Warp Locus that's God specific. So huge
Or your
tactical
Scarbrand.
benefit to or your Scarbrand, as people have learned, right?
yeah, he's pretty nice. He's like honestly, he fits into detachments really well. He's a supreme commander now. He does it all. He really does.
All right, so let's look at some other stuff just to talk about his abilities. By the way, these say not final. I think that they are pretty much final.
Yeah, at this point, I think we can confirm all these as accurate.
Yeah.
So just consider that as a disclaimer. It's a little asterisk just in case something weird has happened. Abilities should also be familiar to people. We are re-rolling ones to hit for all demons. Within the demon codex, right? So not Chaos Space Marines demons.
Yeah,
It
that's
uses
correct.
The Legio demonic word.
Yeah, they have a new updated keyword, and that is for demons, basically the same way they did for Tyranids in order to prevent weird unintended synergies. They're now simply going for just, okay, this is the demon's faction as opposed to the demon keyword.
Something also I noticed reading through his stuff was that he really just hates vehicles. And I don't know if that's a lore thing, but even Disciples of Bellicor stuff just seems to not care for vehicles.
Yeah, he's not a vehicle guy.
Yeah, so
He
However-
tried to attack the Phalanx, which is an Imperial flagship, in the Fall of Cadia, and it goes horribly comedically wrong. And so I think he just has a grudge.
okay, that makes sense. He's reeling. Got it.
In terms of other
Um,
abilities, they're very similar to what exists currently. However, the things that are improved now is you have the 20 wounds, obviously, and better durability.
Mhm.
You have -1 to wound. That was there previously, but now it's -1 to wound at all times.
Yeah.
And to make him better against ranged, he now has, in addition to that, -1 damage. So you're looking at -1 to hit, no rerolls to hit, -1 to wound, -1 damage. Combined with the fact he has 20 wounds and a 4-up save against both melee and range, which no longer can be ignored, that turns into an incredibly difficult unit to kill.
Yeah. I like the arbitrary metric of like a number of las cannons, and the -1 damage is like 12
it's
more
brutal.
las cannons or something.
It's an insane upgrade in durability, honestly, that just adds up. And then also, we won't dive too deep into it, but you all can imagine that there are synergies with the various god keywords, perhaps stratagems, perhaps psychic powers that can layer on that durability a little bit. So
Yes.
some great stuff in the future. So now that we've talked, they've all had a chance to read it. Let's go on to maybe some new stuff.
One thing there.
Oh yeah.
So there is one thing here that I want to quickly call out. His Chapter Master Ruler trait, it does currently exist. However, now it actually affects any demon core unit, and in addition to any Disciples of Bellicor unit. So that's one of the powerful things that's available to him now.
Yeah. He also doesn't stop demon princes from being in your army, but he doesn't
Mhm.
like them in his detachment. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
Same rules current.
Yeah.
Also very good at fighting other demon princes.
Yep.
So there you go. All right. Psychic powers. This iteration, and correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, but I believe most of the iterations,
Yeah, I believe this is still true.
it's no longer restricted to Disciples of Bellicor.
No. In particular, his first 2 powers, which previously just were not taken outside of Disciples because they could only work on Disciples units, now allow you to use them on Legion. Legionis Demonica. It's hard to say. So
Yeah.
the first one is Legion Demonica or Disciples of Bellicor Infantry. So it is Deep Strike, just the teleport, and then a untargetability. That's insane.
Yeah. It's good. It's really good. As a very dedicated Disciples of Bellicor player in the now, the fact that a lot of my abilities not only stayed the same but got more utilitarian, and the fact that I can use them in more of my lists is crazy. The ability to actually pick units outside of his Army of Renown is also crazy. So yeah, I think they're very powerful.
I will say a special shout out. I think number 2 is really interesting when you think about even just Nephilim secondaries, right? Units that need to do actions and maybe survive somehow gives you a degree of play that you just didn't have otherwise.
Yeah, there's some scummy things you can do with the Wreathed in Shades ability. And in particular, yeah, it makes things like doing Despoilers of Reality, which is one of our current secondaries, really easy to do. So just having an option like that makes our secondary play a lot better. So
yeah. All right. Psychic is great. So something interesting that we did, this is sort of the end of the raw rule spoilers, no other slides for raw rules. So if you're looking for that, you're all good. You got all the content.
You
But
got the info.
something that we did, which was interesting, is with the non-final set of rules, we did a little play test, right? Messed around a bit, seeing how things felt. And this, as the opponent of the demons, was basically my experience. Now, a couple caveats. These are not final rules, so flawed data. I'm not going to go into any like the hard number crunching or any of the super big details of what happened, because I don't want to give anyone like the wrong impression of how things are going to play out or the army composition necessarily. But I think that a really exciting thing is that the core of how it felt was basically this. I played Tyranids into this, which are not a weak faction. And
he was also not running a weak list.
I was not running a weak list, right? We were doing Leviathan. We had a bunch of warriors. We had a bunch of heavy venom cannons. I put round 1, I put 21 heavy venom cannon shots into Bellicor. Average should be like 7.8 or 8 or something like that. I did 0. The beauty of a 4-up, right?
It's the beauty of just hit on 4s, wound on 4s, save on 4s.
Yeah.
1/8 of shots get through.
It was wild. And then, all of a sudden, on his turn, when he's ready, he moves out. Now, sorry, caveat. Person I'm playing is the one and only Korkin, right? So he's not a bad player. He's a very good player. He won't tell you that himself. He's quite highly ranked. So he knows what he's doing. And in his capable hands, even first time playing this codex, I don't think we made really many rules mistakes, if any. And he swarmed out and took advantage of low leadership on the Tyranids, was deep striking dudes everywhere, left and right, center. Anywhere I didn't want you to be, you were.
Yep.
Right. It was in like a good general's hands. This codex, you can position people exactly where you want. That's going to inconvenience your opponent because it's going to be on your terms. The way that I would have to change how I play in list mode to account for this now is going to impact the meta. Whether or not demons are like winning GTs, I have to consider this now.
The primary thing, it really feels like a warp incursion where the demons will come at you from every direction.
Yeah. And does that warp locus rule in practice, does that come up quite a bit?
For Bellicor, it did. It definitely came up.
Huge. It was massive. I mean, you really, because I sort of putting a bunch of heavy venom cannon shots into him isn't the most optimal thing. I can't reroll. I'm -1 to hit. I'm -1 damage. But I had to hurt the dude. I had to slow him down. Otherwise, he's zipping up, vomiting demons on me in the midboard, doing whatever he wants.
What's particularly terrifying is Bellicor moving up turn 1, and then he kind of gets like near midboard. Then turn 2, he moves on up again, and then suddenly he's near your deployment zone. Not in, but near. And now the demons come right next to him. Just almost basically the other half of your force deep strikes in and slams into people. And that's a large part of why I'm very excited for Bellicor.
Yeah.
I don't feel like he's one of those models you have to use, but he's one I want to use, and I want to use him in almost every list I build, but not 100% of them.
In particular, there's Mono Nurgle and Mono Slanesh builds I've been looking at where he's not really very necessary.
Yeah, they don't necessarily need another big thing stomping around.
No.
They
don't.
Yeah.
They have their options already. So.
I mean, I think it's really interesting because when you look at demons, the classic problem is how do we get close? How do we fight? Now it's not an issue.
It was at this point that we finished up our call and went our separate ways, with our heads filled with wonderful thoughts of all the magnificently cruel and malevolent things that we will pull off with our new book, and with our hearts brimming with hope for what is to come in the new demonic meta. If you liked this video and you want to see more videos like it, feel free to give me that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. And if you're looking for more Chaos content, check out warphammer.com, where we post regular articles about competitive gameplay.